Hello again, and welcome to the next lesson in the advanced course for Perfectly Spoken. As I've mentioned before, is level C1 and in the Cambridge or the Common European Framework, and IELTS 7.5. So today we're going to be looking at the following. It's a vocabulary lesson on prefixes and suffixes. And in this lesson, we will look specifically at the following. Adding prefixes. Prefixes essentially change the meaning of a word. So, for example, we can make negatives using prefixes such as dis, un, mis, im, or ill. But also we can change the meaning in other ways. So we can use prefixes such as over cooked, for example. If you cook something for too long, it's overcooked. The opposite, obviously, under. Post meaning after, postgraduate, post-war, and so on. And then we'll look briefly at suffixes. We did look at suffixes a bit in a previous lesson on abstract nouns, so we'll be looking a bit more at some suffixes. Suffixes change the grammar of the word rather than the meaning per se. So, for example, we'll change nouns to adjectives, adjectives to verbs, verbs to nouns, and so on by adding a suffix. For example, free, the verb or the adjective can become freedom, the noun. Adding dom changes it to a noun. Okay, so let's have a look then at, first of all, making negatives with prefixes. Okay, so here we have a table with a number of words, and we want to try to make the negatives of each of these words, okay, by adding a prefix. So we've got action, stress on the first syllable, action. Agree, stress on the second syllable, agree. Attractive, 3 syllables, stress on the second syllable, attractive. Capable, complete, continue, easy, engage, honest, stress on the first syllable, honest. Legal, again, stress on the first syllable. Literate, literate. Logical, mobile. Moral, or morale, moral should say. Practical, polite, regular, and relevant. Okay, so how do we form negatives? Well, we use these are some of the most common prefixes that we can use to make negatives. Dis, ill, im, in, and un. Okay, so the first one, action. What is the negative of action? Pause the recording at any time to allow you time to think. Well, if something is, or if you're accusing someone of not doing anything, you can say that they are guilty of inaction, not acting, inaction. Agree obviously means that you share the same opinion as someone over something. If you have a different or opposite opinion to that person, you will, of course, disagree with him. I disagree strongly with what you've said. If something's attractive, you find it pleasant to look at, or it's something that you would like to do, it's attractive. The negative, something that you do not find pleasing to the eye, or you don't want to do, it's not something that makes you, that captivates you or whatever, it's unattractive. Okay, capable means being able to do something. So not being able to do something is incapable. He's incapable of telling a lie, for example. He always tells the truth. He's incapable. It's against his nature to do it. He's incapable. Complete, the negative of complete. Again, incomplete, meaning not whole, not complete. Okay, his account of what happened was incomplete. There was some vital information missing. To continue means to keep doing something. To stop doing something, for example, to stop producing something, is discontinue. The clothes company decided to discontinue the manufacture or the production of a particular item of clothing. Discontinue, to stop doing something. Easy, the negative. Uneasy. If you're uneasy about something, it means that you don't feel comfortable about doing it, and so on. Uneasy. To engage, the negative of engage is disengage. Honest means obviously that you tell the truth, you don't tell lies. The negative or opposite is dishonest. Legal, meaning it's within the law, it's acceptable to do it within the law. The negative, illegal. Literate, meaning able to read, and so on. Again, illiterate. Logical, the negative of logical. Illogical. Any of you who watch Star Trek will be familiar with Mr. Spock. That is a logical captain, and so on and so forth. Okay, illogical, not logical. Mobile, immobile, not moving. Moral, immoral. Immoral means it's against established rules of society. It's unethical, so on. It's not correct. Practical, impractical. Polite, impolite, which is a synonym of rude, impolite. Regular, so not regular is irregular. You'll be familiar with irregular verbs, studying English. And relevant, if it's irrelevant, it has nothing to do with the topic under discussion, etc. Irrelevant. So before we continue, just have a quick look at the IL, IM, and the IR prefixes and see if you can notice any patterns there. Again, pause the recording if you need time to think here. So IL, what can you notice or deduce from this? Well, IL is always a prefix for words which begin with L. So illegal, illiterate, illogical. Logical, literate, legal all begin with L. How about im? Can you see any patterns there? Well, of course, im is either the prefix for words beginning with M, like immoral, immobile, or P, impractical, impolite. And IR, again, is prefix for words beginning with R, irregular, irrelevant, and so on. Okay, good. So we're going to look now at some sentences and see if you can complete them with the correct negative. Okay, so there's a woman being very rude, sticking out her tongue. She's so something, she never says please or thank you. So a synonym for rude. She never says please or thank you. She's so impolite. Impolite. The next one. It's a politician, an American politician. I've never met such a something politician. You can't trust a word he says. So he never tells the truth. He's always telling lies or so on. I've never met such a dishonest politician. Dishonest, not honest. Next one. Here's a girl studying hard for English test. I have to study all the something verbs to pass my English test. Okay, so for example, go, went, have, had, or go, went, gone if you want the participle and so on. These are, of course, irregular verbs. Irregular verbs. The ones you don't add ed to. Good. Okay, next one. Oh man, smoking. The woman is not very happy about it. She says, I'd never date someone who smokes. It's so if it's not something that you like, you wouldn't want to have a romantic relationship with this person because they smoke. It's so unattractive. Unattractive. Okay, the next one. It's the craze that happened a year or two ago with Pokemon Go. Somebody's driving and using their phone. It's quite extremely dangerous thing to do. It's something to drive while using your mobile phone. It's against the law in many countries. If it's against the law, it's not legal, so it's illegal to drive while using your mobile phone. It's illegal. Okay, let's have a look now at other kinds of prefixes. As I say, prefixes can make negatives, but they can also add different meanings to the root words. So let's have a look at some examples. So here we have the prefixes: anti, auto, bi, co, de, mis, mono, multi, out, over, post, re, sub, super, and up. So the battleship is one of these big ships they use for war with lots of guns on them. So they are to fight or to take down aircraft. So what kind of guns are they? They are anti-aircraft guns. Anti meaning against. Okay. Number 2. I don't believe in the something natural, ghosts and such like. So beyond nature, what prefix would we put here? About ghosts and poltergeists and all these sort of things. Is the supernatural, outside of or beyond what is considered natural, supernatural. Well, this is not my case. I used to play with dolls, but now I've something grown them. I'm older now, or the woman is older now. She doesn't play with dolls anymore. She's outgrown them. Next one. I'm sorry, there seems to be a something understanding. The show is supposed to start at 7:15 and not 7:30. So they didn't understand what was supposed to happen. So basically this one means wrong or not correct. Misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Number 5, the war ended in 1945, and in the something war period, things gradually returned to normal. So after the war, the late 1940s, early 1950s, the post-war period, post-war. Post means after. Okay, let's have a look at some more. Well, this is where I live. Most people in Catalonia are something lingual. They can speak Catalan and Spanish, at least. Okay, so most people speak 2 languages. So which prefix is used to mean 2? And the answer is bilingual. If the work is something standard, you might be asked to do it again. So if it's below the standard or below what is expected for you to produce, not satisfactory, which prefix means below? And the answer is substandard. Not up to the standard that you expect, substandard. Number 8, I hate this something correct on my phone is always changing what I write. I find this a lot when I'm trying to write messages quickly and the phone keeps changing, and sometimes I send it with completely the wrong message I wanted to. So the thing that corrects your writing, your spelling and so on is the autocorrect. It does it automatically. Autocorrect. At Christmas, I often something eat. I just can't stop stuffing my face. I thought many people suffer from this over the festive period. They eat too much, so eat more than you should. You overeat. Have a chat with one of my something workers. They'll tell you what to do. So it's somebody who works together with me. So the prefix that means together or with you is co-worker. A co-worker is someone who works with you or together with you. Okay, some more now. I didn't really like the something make of Blade Runner. The original was a fantastic film. The new version is, in my opinion, not so good. So if you produce the same film or kind of the same film again, it's a remake. You do it again. Re means to do it again. Your constant complaining is really something motivating. Okay, it reduces our motivation. It's demotivating. Demotivating. D means to bring down or reduce. Next one. They offered me an something grade to the latest model of your phone or whatever. They offered you a better version, a newer version with more applications or whatever. This is an upgrade to the latest model. Okay, you can buy a something pack of cereals containing lots of different varieties to keep the kids happy. This is a packet of different cereals. In the UK, for example, common ones are Rice Krispies, cornflakes, Frosties. So different types of cereal. But you buy one packet with all these different types. It's a multi-pack. Homo erectus was a something historic ancestor of modern day humans. Okay, so meaning before history. The answer is prehistoric. Okay, good. So, finally, in today's lesson, we're going to briefly look at suffixes. As I said, we touched on this a bit when we looked at abstract nouns, but we're going to look at this a little bit more here. As I say, suffixes change not the meaning so much as the grammar of words, from verb to noun or noun to adjective and so on. So here's a table with some of the words included. I'm going to disappear so you can see the whole table. And I'd like you to try to complete, actually I'll stay here until we've done the first few. Complete the table with the correct missing words, the adjective, the noun, or the verb. So the first one, you have the verb to bore. Bore someone. So the adjective, there are actually two. There's how you feel, and the adjective to describe someone who makes you feel like that. And of course, he's very boring, and I feel bored. And what is the noun from bore? The noun is boredom. Boredom. Okay, next one is weak. The adjective is weak. What is the noun from weak? Weak is obviously the opposite of strong. The noun is in fact weakness. And the verb from weak is weaken. This is a common verb ending. We take the adjective and add en. There are a number of adjectives like that. For example, long, length, lengthen, and so on. So with thick, what do you think the noun from thick is? As of course, thickness, and the verb, it follows the same pattern as weak, is thicken, to make thick, to thicken something. Adjective, neighbourly. They're very neighbourly people. The noun, well, the person is a neighbour, but the place where you live with your neighbours is your neighbourhood. Okay? Hope. There are two adjectives here. If you have a lot of hope, you are hopeful. And if you're without hope, also it means hopeless means not very good, useless, hopeless as well. There's the verb hope. Free, the noun freedom. And the verb from free is also free. And now I am going to disappear so you can see the rest. So the verb is educate. What is the adjective from educate? Well, there's at least a couple. If something, for example, a game, you can learn something from it, it is educational. And if you have a lot of education, you are educated. And the noun, of course, is education. To befriend means to make friends with someone. To befriend, we tend to actually use make friends more commonly, but befriend exists. The adjective to describe someone who it's easy to befriend, or someone who's nice to you and so on, is friendly. And the noun is friendship. Friendship. And then we have the verb to enjoy. The adjective is enjoyable. And the noun, enjoyment. Enjoyment. Okay, so here I am again. Hello again. We're going to look now at some sentences, try to complete them with the correct word, pattern of speech. So eating sugary food, that's food containing a lot of sugar, or drinks as well, can something, the enamel, that's the coating that protects your teeth, protecting your teeth, so it can make it less strong, can, if you can think about that. Number two, there are lots of amenities in our, this flight is so long, I think I might die off. I'm really something that I'll pass my exams. And I think computer games can be beneficial for children as long as they are. Okay, so the first one, sugary food can make our teeth less strong. The enamel less strong is weaken, of course. There are lots of amenities. That means shops, I don't know, cinema, parks, whatever in our local area where we live, our neighborhood. The flight is so long, I think I might die of boredom. I'm really that I'll pass my exams. I've been studying for weeks. I'm sure I'm going to pass them. I've got lots of hope. I'm really hopeful that I'll pass my exams. And I think computer games can be beneficial. That means good for children, as long as children can learn something from them, as long as they are educational. Let's have a look at some more. Try putting corn flour in your sauce to something it. At our school, we give children the something to choose which activities to do. That was the most something film I've seen in a long time. It was fun from beginning to end. When I moved to the big city, I didn't find people very something at first. So the first one obviously is thicken. You put corn flour into your sauce to make it thicker. You thicken it. We give children the freedom to choose which activities to do. They can decide what they want to do. That was the most, well, it was fun from beginning to end. It was the most enjoyable film I've seen in a long time. And finally, when I moved to the big city, I didn't find people they weren't very nice. They didn't want to talk to me in the beginning. Weren't very friendly at first. Okay, so that's the end of today's lesson. I hope you found it useful. In the next lesson, lesson 23, we'll be looking again at relative clauses. In lesson 21, we looked at defining. This time we're going to look at non-defining relative clauses. That's another prefix for you. Non makes it negative. So non-defining relative clauses with me, Andy Nicol. And we'll be looking at comparing and contrasting defining relative clauses that we looked at and non-defining, the use of commas and so on, and what the difference is between them. And we'll also be looking at reduced relative clauses, where we use participles instead of a full relative clause. I'll explain all this in the next lesson. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed that, and I look forward to speaking to you again in the next lesson. Take care, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.